Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife video for you. Today, I'm going to do a little comparison between the production cold steel AD15 and the semi-custom Andrew Demko AD15. Andrew Demko obviously designed both these knives. He licensed the design to Cold Steel. They've been very, very successful. Price has gone up quite a bit on them recently. This is the new colorway in the all black. They used to be kind of an OD green with like kind of a bronzy sort of lock bar on it with the really cool scorpion lock. Obviously, the lock bar is very prominent. S35VN, but this one happens to be 20 CV. I think maybe it came in 3V. I know they do 3V on the AD20s. I'm not sure if they did it back this far, but this is what they call an MG AD15. So it is hand assembled and hand built by Andrew Demko, but the blade is machine ground. If you wanted to spend more at the time, you could get a hollow grind, really nice hand ground blade that was much more expensive. This was about $500 when it was new. I think the machine ground ones were more like $850. I know that's about the price difference on the AD20, because I have an MG AD20. I don't pay the extra money for the hand ground blades. I like to use my Demkos, so I don't really care that much. So I like just the machine ground blades. But I know the difference between this was $425 and $825. So it's probably a very similar price difference here. It's probably like $500 and $900, $500 and $850, something like that. This is $229. You can buy it anywhere. Still really good materials. I will say, before I go any farther, you can't get the custom one right now. It's not really available. Mid-tech, I guess you'd call this one. You can't get them right now. I did buy this used on the secondary market. I did talk to Demko when I bought my AD20, and I really wanted an AD15, and I said, hey, how long is it going to be before you make some of them? And they said, we have no plans right now. Doesn't mean we're not doing it. We just don't have any plans right now. So some of this is a bit academic, but you guys said you wanted to see the comparison, and these are pretty readily available on the secondary market. You can find one if you want one. Didn't take me that much time at all. I just mentioned on a live show that I wanted one, and I had offers actually for like 3 of them, but this was the one I liked the most. So this is not going to be a full-on like battle to the death kind of thing. This is just going to be to show the differences that you get buying one made by Andrew Demko and one made by Cold Steel. This is made in Taiwan. This is, handmade by Andrew Demko in Pennsylvania. So let's get going. Specs on these are pretty similar. When I get to weight, I'm going to bust out the scale so we can see the difference. But dimensions are exactly the same. The camera may make it look like the handmade one is a bit smaller, but it isn't. You have an overall length of 8.5 inches, blade length of 3.5 inches. And then, we're going to use the calipers for the blade stock too. I just want to show every little difference that I possibly can in these. I don't think I'm the first one to show the differences in these, but yeah, 0.168. Let's do that again, because when I closed it, now I'm getting 0.153. This stupid caliper is not cooperating. Yeah, 0.153. And then we'll do the other. 0.18, so a little bit thicker on the Demko version. So there is that. I keep checking. I'm going to make sure I got everything right. Yeah, so a little bit thicker blade stock on the Demko version. Handle thickness will get the widest point, which is down by the scales. 0.586. Now these calipers are cooperating. Sometimes it just takes a minute for them to get. And 0.59. So a little bit thicker on the Demko built version. Let's check the weight. Bring out the scales that will greet me, as they always do. Hello. And on the production version, we have 6.5 ounces dead on. I know they claim 6.57, but Cold Steels are often just a hair lighter than what they say they are. And we'll do the 6.38, so a little bit lighter. Makes sense. There's more titanium in this one, so it kind of makes sense it would be a little bit lighter. We'll call it 6.4. Now it's up to 6.39. So just a hair lighter, which kind of makes sense. That thicker blade stock, but more titanium, completely makes sense that it would be just a little bit lighter. As far as the blades go, I'm going to bring out the calipers again. This one was custom sharpened by Apostle P. I don't usually buy used knives, honestly, that have been resharpened because I'm a reviewer and I like everything to be as stock as humanly possible. But let's face it, if you're going to get an aftermarket edge, might as well be Apostle P. He kind of knows what he's doing. He's excellent. And it is a supremely awesome, really nice mirror edge, which ain't going to last long because I'm using this thing and I'll wind up sharpening it again myself. And it'll look kind of mirrory, but half as good as his. That's just how it's going to be. I apologize in advance to this knife for that because I'm just not as good as him, for sure. This thing is a perfect mirror edge. It's just gorgeous. He did an outstanding job. But on this one, we have a thickness behind the edge of, make sure I'm getting that right. I do have my reading glasses on to catch it. I'm a little too far forward. About 29 thousandths. 27,000, sorry, yeah. About 27, yeah, we're going to call it about 27 thousandths. We'll measure it again in another spot just to see. I'm sure he got it even. This is not me, like, critiquing his sharpening work. It's just me trying to get a good number on this. Nope, totally screwed that one up. This is the hardest measurement to get, and yet I always decide to do it live on camera. I'm getting more like 30 thousandths up towards the tip. So like 26 to 27, or 26 to 30 thousandths. So, and then we'll do the production version. A little bit thinner blade stock. So let's see, but thicker behind the edge. I'm getting like 33. It's much easier to get it on a knife that doesn't have a mirror edge. The mirror edge, it kind of screws with your vision and it's hard to get it. And then we'll get it up here towards the tip. Let's see if it's thicker up towards the tip on this one as well. And yeah, it is. Just you get 35,000. So I think even with the stock edge, I'm sure that knowing Apostle P, he probably brought that edge up a little bit. So this is probably a little bit thinner than stock. So neither of these are going to be slicing dreams by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not meant to be. They're meant to be hard-working, hard-use knives, and I have no issue with that. My AD20 is significantly thinner behind the edge than either of these, but it's still not crazy thin by any stretch of the imagination. One of the things I noticed the most between these two is the ergonomics. So you can see on the production version, you have these really aggressive G10 scales, which we'll talk about more when we come to the carry as well. They work great, definitely. This thing ain't going nowhere. But you know, every time you grip it, you're aware. You're very aware of those G10 scales. Also, the jimping up here is on the, it's almost too aggressive. And for a lot of people, I think it would be too aggressive. For me, it's kind of okay, but it is kind of sharpish. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, the thing ain't going nowhere. And there are no hot spots from the clip or anything. I have no complaints there on either of them. But it's a bit, as I always say, jimptastic, and the grip-tastic, I guess I would call this in this particular case. It's comfortable enough, but it's definitely would be better, you know, with gloves. Especially I think if you were working all day with this thing barehanded, you develop calluses. It's kind of that aggressive. Where on the mid-tech, we're just going to use that word, the mid-tech version, yeah, not so much. These aren't G10 scales. These are micarta, the brown micarta, and it has an aggressive enough texture to hold it in your hand for sure, but not nearly as in danger of causing calluses as the cold steel version is. And the jimping is just, you know, it's hand built. You'd expect they do a little bit better job finishing off, rounding off corners and things, and it is much more comfortable in the hand. I really do enjoy using this a lot more than using the standard production AD15. And as far as the carry goes, same thing. So my AD15 production is modified. I do the same thing I do to a lot of cold steels, not just the AD15. But a lot of them have very aggressive G10s. So this spot where the pocket clip lands, I taped it off with 2 layers of painter's tape and took a little Dremel and filed it down a little bit. It makes it a lot better, but it still is not amazing. It's not a pocket destroyer anymore, but it's in stock form, absolutely a pocket destroyer. If you don't make that modification, yeah, RIP your pants. Pee your pants. I just said pee your pants. I'm a child. But once it gets in the pocket, it carries just like any other AD15. It's fine. They're not super, super heavy. There's no flipper tab, so it's not really that bad to carry, honestly. It's a big knife. It feels like a big knife, but it's not too bad. But this one is a pocket destroyer if you don't sand that stuff down. And even if you do, it's still going to be a pocket harasser. I don't know what else to call it. It's not going to destroy your pockets, but it ain't going to be good on them either. Even with this done, there's going to be a problem. This, not at all. On the mid-tech version, this is a perfect amount of grip. It's not any more of a pocket destroyer than a lot of knives that I have, and I have no issues with it. I'm not going to modify it. I wouldn't anyway because it's a real Demko, so I probably wouldn't do it anyway, even if it was destroying my pockets. But this one is not. It's not bad at all. That was one thing I was really worried about, because in the photos the guy sent me before I bought it, I still thought it looked like it had a really aggressive texture, and I was really worried it was still going to be a pocket destroyer, because that's one thing I don't like about this one. And it is not. It is perfectly fine. A lot of knives sticking out of the pocket, and again, I said not extremely lightweight. In the action, there is also a big difference. So I have taken both of these apart, done the exact same thing to both of them, and I don't know how many miles this had on it before I got it, but it is definitely smoother. So we'll start out with the regular one. The regular one, I did have a guy say, send me a video about, oh, you're closing it wrong, because I just do this and, flick it shut. And it takes a minute, especially with this one. There is a better way to do it, and I know that, but I don't do it. You can just put some tension on the blade and it slams shut. That probably is a better way to do it, but I kind of just like to flick it shut. That's just kind of the way I like to do it. This one is fine. I don't think anybody's gonna be disappointed with it. It makes a great snap when it opens. You can hear it. You shut up and do that again. Makes a great sound. No issues there. I think maybe I had this on one of my best sound videos. It does make a great noise, but nothing in comparison to this one. Gives that little ring, ding, and I think it's just, more titanium bits, and infinitely smoother on the drop, as you saw. It's excellent. And if you open it the other way with some tension, great. I love the Scorpion lock. It's really cool. It is a very unique system, and people say it takes some time to get used to, and that's true. It does take some time, but as in taking some time, I mean it takes like 3 minutes of fidgeting with it, and you completely get used to it. Love the Scorpion lock. Love Demko designs. I really do like both of these knives. This is probably roughly a little less than half the price of what you're going to pay for one of these used. I paid $500 for this one used, and I think that's a very fair price, and I did not negotiate. The guy gave me a price, and I thought that was fair. Especially since this is exactly the configuration I would have ordered if Demko was still making them. I would have ordered this I probably would have ordered exactly brown micarta stonewash. I probably would have gotten the exact same configuration. So, because some of the AD15s, that's another downside to the mid-tech or custom AD15s. Some of them are really crazy. Demko went a bit nuts with some of the finishes on them, especially on the MGs. He made quite a large amount of MGs. You may still be able to find some MGs on some websites somewhere. But they're really crazy colors. Like I saw one that was like complete like McDonald's configuration. It was like a yellow Cerakote lock bar and red G10, and yeah, he made some really crazy ones. So this is probably exactly what I would have ordered. But yeah, if you shop around, you might be able to find one new, but I couldn't when I looked. I was willing to get one of the crazy configurations and dye it, but luckily this guy came through and offered me this one. So thank you very much to him. He knows who he is. Which would I get now? I mean, you can get one of these, so that's kind of end of argument. But $229, is this worth twice as much? I don't know, probably not. But because as far as construction and the feeling of solidness and everything, they're almost exactly the same. If you had your eyes closed, other than the texture on this G10, you would never know the difference. But I mean, I like this one a whole lot better. I'm probably not keeping this one now that I have this one. I guess that's kind of the best answer I can give, is since I have both, I'm probably not keeping this one. These used to be 170. And when these were 170 bucks, all day long, get this one. But now at 229, it might be worth the effort to try and go find a machine ground one. I don't know. That's kind of up to you, but in my opinion, it's probably worth a little bit of effort, at least. You know, spend a couple of days, and if you can't find one and you get tired of waiting, buy the production one. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.